So I had a very unstable childhood, and then my mother met my stepfather, who is now a recovering Mormon and ruled with an iron fist. And so I rebelled, and I was put in some pretty precarious positions and situations just because of childcare at that time. My mom was still going to school. She wanted to pursue college. He worked. And so I was put with whoever would watch me, essentially. And so I was exposed to some abuse there, physically and otherwise. And so I first discovered, you know, this solution that would be something I would chase for the remaining majority of my adolescence and early adulthood at 9 years old. I found meth.
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 I thought you were going to say I started drinking
No,
at 9.
bro. Methamphetamine was the first thing out of the gate. And it's funny because I learned later that my mom, still to this day, smokes weed, right? To this day. She was an avid pot smoker back then.
Mm.
And so I always knew that there was a difference because they smoke cigarettes too, but I knew there was a difference in smell, but I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? It wasn't until I hung out with some older kids
Yeah.
and they came to my house and they're like, bro, your parents smoke weed, dude. And so it was the first opportunity we got with my buddy and I, Brandon. We ransacked my mom's room, and sure enough, we found chocolate Thai sticks,
Yeah.
And anyways, so yeah, methamphetamine. And it just happened because I mentioned the below the tracks, right? So all my friends that I hung out with, I didn't go to school with, like in my neighborhood. Like none of these kids I went to school with, and they all had older brothers and uncles and things like that. Pretty white trashy area.
Mm.
And one of the kids I was hanging out with, his older brother was 16 or 17, but he was in my grade. We're in third grade, and they lived half the time at their uncle's house, half the time at their mother's house. Well, their uncle was batching at the house. I know this now, being a 41-year-old male, but yeah, he was batching at the house, and they stole some. It just gives us a lot of energy, is what they told us. And we were racking up lines on our skateboard, and I was just doing what they did. And yeah, so I didn't become a chronic meth user, but I was definitely using it whenever we could get our hands on it, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And then it wasn't until a year later or so, 10 maybe, that I had that friend over, and we discovered that we could get weed from my house. And so that became a thing. And then it was alcohol, actually, third. But I was never a big drinker.
Mm.
I was never a big drinker, and I was kind of a poser in that sense, like all my buddies, they would get the Mickey's wide mouth, and the Steel Reserve and the King Cobra.